I think your average man on the street doesn't have any idea what's going on. They're not following the developments, they're not following the news, they're not aware of anything. I think fund managers are probably more aware, but it takes time for them to also move and get things going and to set the processes that allow them to buy. And that's why I think ETFs, MicroStrategy, and MicroStrategy derivatives are sort of a shortcut path to that. And that can allow people to get in much faster. But in general, it takes a lot of time to gear up and pass the laws that are needed to start the whole process. And unfortunately, most of the world is waiting for things to signify that it is time, or actually, a better way to say it, to signify it's too late, because that's the point at which there is no career risk. If you do something with Bitcoin, then you're at risk. But the inverse is starting to become the new norm, which is if you don't do something with Bitcoin, your career is at risk. But yeah, it takes them a lot of time to kind of get there. And I think it's just a slow process. And the real price of Bitcoin is probably something like 200,000 right now.
There you have it from Samson Mao. He's sitting here telling you that a tide is turning. Right now, if you're not doing something with Bitcoin, then you're not doing something right. The norm is changing, the narrative is changing. Bitcoin should be priced at 200K. There's a lot going on in the space. So we're in the midst of a bull market. Pay attention to what's going on. And with that, what's happening, Crypto Crew? Sean's coming back at you, another cryptocurrency video. Before we get started, Bitcoin Bros will be at the conference tomorrow. We will be there tomorrow. So if you're there, make sure that you stop, say hello, say what's up. Don't be afraid to speak. Getting straight into this video, at the current time it's recording, we're sitting right below 109K at 108.9K. Current time is recording. What do we see? What do we anticipate? So what we're looking at one of our indicators here, one of our favorite indicators, and what the name of it is called the Fisher Transform. Look at this on the monthly time frame, and if you look from the monthly perspective, we look at the close of candles. Remember that. We got a wick up here. This was back in December 2024. Got exhausted. Got a candle close right at this 102 range. Got rejected. Had some back tests from previous resistance, flipped to support. And now this month, we are above this 102 range. Now, the bigger question is, will we hold this level? At the current time of this recording, it is May 26th. We got about 5 days left in the month. Will we stay above? And then could we see massive moves to the upside? Look at this Fisher transform below. What we see, the last time we had this cross, we were at previous resistance. This range here, this red line, the 70 to 71 range, we tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We were under this range consolidating for like 7 months before we blasted up. So the next leg to the upside, once we crossed this Fisher transform, we blasted from the 70,000 range all the way up to 109. As far as how high a move we seen in that time frame, 53% move. So if we see something similar, what can we anticipate? So we're going to measure from the breakout. If we see a 50% move to the upside, let's pull this down. The 50% move would take us up to roughly $154,000. So it looks extremely bullish over the next few months. How long did it take this to play out? It just took 2 months. So you're looking at, right now we're in May, you got June, July, could be off to the races. And right here from Mr. Crypto, look at this chart. We see this every single cycle, nothing changes. We see a bear trap from the depths of the bear into the bull, then a rally, bear market, and then a continuation to the upside, bear trap, blast off, continuous rally, bear trap, blast off. How high could we be anticipating to go by the end of this year, potentially into 2026? Anthony Scaramucci's weighing in. Let's hear what he has to say.
Ultimately, what we see is the evolution of Bitcoin from being sort of a tech asset tied to the Mag 7 or tied to the NASDAQ to something that's more akin to digital gold. And as that starts to happen, and I predict that will happen as wallets expand. Let's say there's roughly 300 million or so wallets for Bitcoin right now. Imagine a world where there's a billion wallets, billion holders. The volatility should dampen. That happened in Microsoft. That happened in things like Google over a 20-year period of time. And so you could see a scenario where more wallets, lots of institutions in the mix, long-term holders, dampening volatility, and then you have this positive flywheel where the volatility is dampened by long-term holders who are owning it in size, and so therefore that reinforces the idea that other long-term holders should come in. I guess the big thing you have to ask yourself is Bitcoin an investment or is it an asset class? If it's an investment, then $1 to $3 trillion, that sort of makes sense. That's akin to a Mag 7 market capitalization. But if it's an asset class, then it should trade to closer to where gold is. And I think gold's, I don't know, $22, $23 trillion right now.
So if you heard what he said, $22 to $23 trillion right now, that is roughly a 10x. Let's get out our calculator. So we got gold around 22, Bitcoin around 2.164. So when Bitcoin becomes in parity with gold, we got to see roughly a 10.6x from where we are right now. The current price action around 1089. You're looking at a $1.15 million Bitcoin price target. Coming from Anthony Scaramucci himself, it's just simple math. And right here, check out this chart. We see Bitcoin following an identical rising wedge chart, which tends to be a bearish indication. So you could have a retracement, but we're in a bull market, guys. This put in higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Is gold the leading indicator for Bitcoin? Could we see $500,000 this cycle? Look how parabolic gold has went. Michael Saylor's weighing in on where he sees Bitcoin ultimately going. Once again, let's hear from Michael.
And if you just want Bitcoin to be successful, when you hear the Bank of Shanghai is rolling out a Bitcoin ETF custody to the Bank of Shanghai, you would say, that's great. That's going to give access to Bitcoin to 1.5 billion people in China. Okay. And they're going to buy a bunch of Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is going to go up to $10 million coin. So here's the question. Do you want the billion people in China to be rich? And do you want to be rich while the Chinese government still has a bunch of laws that you may or may not agree with? Or do you want the people in China to be poor and you to be poor while the Chinese government has a set of laws that you don't agree with?
Pretty easy.
Or do you think that you're so great, you're Superman, that you can just go and topple the entire government by barking on Twitter? And it's like, I just don't think, right, that you're going to topple, an entire sovereign nation with your ideology.
So there you have it from Michael Saylor explaining how Bitcoin gets to $10 million. And right now, Bitcoin is just a little over $100,000. You still have time, but don't wait too long. And with that, that's all I have for you today. Once again, I'm showing off the Bitcoin Bros. You guys like this content, go ahead and smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate each and every one of you. With that, I'm out.